Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Weather on the Go. All your weather coverage on this Saturday, October the 18th, 2025. Severe weather is in the forecast across parts of the United States this weekend, including the threat today, which has a potential for several tornadoes. We're going to get into that and look at your temperature trends as well as precipitation heading into next week. We'll look at the long range as we go in toward Halloween weekend and also towards Veterans Day in early November and your tropical weather update at the end. Yesterday got so close to 1,000 likes. Would love to hit that here today, so make sure to like the video, share it with a friend, family member in on social media, and of course subscribe to my YouTube channel. We cover Canada, the United States, and the tropics, and when you do subscribe, make sure to turn on the post notification bell to all so you get all my videos, all my live stream notifications when I do post them to my YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's get into the forecast. Yes, there is severe weather across the United States today, and over a dozen states are at risk, all the way as far north as Detroit, Michigan, all the way back south, almost to the Houston metroplex. So a large real estate at risk for severe weather. The green is where isolated severe storms are possible. The yellow is where we could have scattered severe weather, and we'll get into that more here in a moment. But let's look at our temperature trends here for this weekend. We have ahead of that cold front and our low pressure system, warmer, moist, and more unstable air. So it's no surprise we're seeing that thunderstorm risk and severe weather also included. Behind that front, though, cooler, more drier air starting to work into the central plains. That'll be pushing further east as we get into tomorrow on Sunday, October the 19th. So let's look at our temperatures this afternoon and notice we got record highs down here into places like San Antonio, Austin, all the way over here toward Jackson, Mississippi, Nashville, and even into Columbus, Ohio, where we could be seeing 80s and 90s. Look behind the front, though. We're into the 70s across the Chicagoland, Des Moines, Kansas City, and even cooler yet. If you go over here toward Rapid City, into Bismarck, Fargo, it is in the 50s this afternoon. And watch as that cool front changes our season basically in a 24-hour period. More summer-like conditions ahead of the front today, where we're at 87 in Nashville. We're going to be at 68 tomorrow, just 24 hours removed. So we're going to be seeing a big change in our temperatures as we head through the weekend. Not only just in our high temperatures, but our low temperatures. Starting off Sunday morning, record warm lows near Lake Erie and around there into Ohio, northwestern Pennsylvania, western New York, so Buffalo, Cleveland, Erie, Pennsylvania, Detroit, all the way back there toward Toledo. We're going to be starting off Sunday morning into the low 60s, and notice behind that front, we're going to be seeing some frost freeze risk perhaps tomorrow morning across the Dakotas, the Black Hills region, all the way down here into the panhandle of Nebraska, and even into Minnesota, watching out for that patchy frost and freeze risk Sunday morning. Getting back to the severe weather threat, yes, over a dozen states at risk for severe weather from literally the southern Great Lakes to the Gulf Coast, Detroit, all the way toward Houston, and there is a threat for tornadoes. In the green is a 2% chance of tornadoes, and in the brown is a 5% chance of tornadoes here within a 25-mile radius of any given point in or around these green or brown shaded colors. Big cities at risk here: St. Louis, Little Rock, Memphis, Nashville, all the way up into Indianapolis, Louisville, Lexington, and Toledo, even Detroit. And then down further south, we got Texarkana, Shreveport, Monroe, Jackson, and even into the areas near Birmingham at risk for some tornado threat as we go through your Saturday. As we go into Sunday, severe weather threat shifts further east, becomes more isolated. Remember, the dark green is an isolated threat for severe weather in the mid-Atlantic and also down near the Gulf Coast into the panhandle of Florida. Then once we get into early next week, Monday, October 20th, the severe weather threat subsides. Even the thunderstorm threat becomes more isolated and sporadic for the upper Midwest, the Northeast, or Florida once we get into Monday. Let's start on the eastern U.S. like we always do. We'll go into the central U.S. next, then the western U.S. after that. This afternoon, we're seeing plenty of sunshine across the southeast, maybe some higher level clouds. We'll call it a partly cloudy sky for the northeast as well. Maybe a shower, maybe able to come out of those clouds across portions of New York City, Long Island later this afternoon. Not really amounting to much. And then as we go into the nighttime hours, here comes that conglomerate of rainfall, and we could be seeing some nice, steady, soaking rains for the Illinois Valley, Indiana, and southern Michigan, areas that have been in significant drought for quite some time. I think we're going to start to see some of that improve, but it's not going to be a drought-busting rain, so don't get don't get complacent with the rainfall saying, well, our drought's gone. Well, no, it's still going to be there even as we go into Sunday. Central U.S., we are watching a line of thunderstorms in the central U.S. marching eastward along this line. Don't be surprised if we see some brief spin-up tornadoes. Those do tend to happen here even in the fall across portions of the deep south, so be keeping an eye on that. But the main risk should be damaging winds over 60 miles per hour and some quarter-size hail. Notice the rainfall really starts to pick up there across the Fox Valley, Illinois Valley, all the way up there toward Michigan, Indiana as well, the Hoosier State, starting to see some heavier bouts of rain overnight tonight and into your Sunday. Clearing skies across the plains will promise frost and freeze risks overnight into Sunday morning, so make sure to cover up any sensitive vegetation that you may have out there. Otherwise, they may be damaged by the cold weather. And then as we go through the day on Sunday, rain to start in Chicago, and I think we peel away the cloud cover by late afternoon. We'll call it a partly cloudy sky there in Chicago as we go into Sunday afternoon and evening. Western U.S., we have some rainfall across Seattle. It's light, and it's starting to pick up and become more widespread as we go into the evening hours. So Olympia, Seattle up there, we're going to be watching out for those rain showers. Higher elevation snow up into British Columbia there could be adding up into feet in those higher elevations. A lot of sunshine across the desert southwest, some higher level clouds creeping in from the south, from the East Pacific will be possible on Sunday. But again, a lot of higher elevation snows there across the Rockies and the northern Rockies, Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming, and then lower elevation rain coming in from the Pacific Northwest. Rainfall totals going up through 7 a.m. on Monday, October 20th, could be around 1 to 4 inches at the high end across portions of Michigan, Illinois, including the Illinois Valley, the Fox Valley up there in northeast Illinois, and then over here into Indiana and Ohio. And then we look here at the desert southwest is quite dry as we go through the next, say, 24, 48 hours. A little bit wetter again across the Pacific Northwest, an inch here or an inch there of rainfall. Olympia, Seattle, likely to see some of that rainfall. Snowfall, colder air, while it's coming into the United States, is not really coalescing with the precipitation. So I think a lot of our snowfall will be across the higher elevations and more so into Canada, British Columbia, especially southwest coastline of British Columbia, Canada. That's where we could be seeing over 4 to 5 feet of snow, believe it or not, as we go through Monday morning, if not even more than that. So that is a lot of snowfall up in those areas. Now next week, Monday, October 20th through Friday, October 24th, trough moves in across the eastern U.S. in the wake of our cold front. We're going to be seeing some cooler than normal temperatures here from the Midwest into the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and southeast, and then some southerly component to our winds across the plains in the Rockies will improve our temperatures slightly above normal. Again, remember, late October, our normal highs are coming down, so it won't be that hard to get above normal temperatures once we get into next week. But you can see there will still be some record-breaking heat down here. Abilene at 93 as we go into Monday. Notice the 50s and 60s around, more of a cool, crisp day across the northern U.S., especially for Tuesday. Look at the Twin Cities, barely getting to 50 degrees, upper 40s for northern Wisconsin, and then as we go into Wednesday and Thursday, we'll start to warm those temperatures back up across the north, albeit to near 60 degrees once we get towards the end of the week, maybe closer to 70 in some areas. Frost freeze risks are going to be possible here and there throughout the week. It'll be patchy in some areas, especially into the upper Midwest where you're naturally into those valleys. That's where we could be into the upper 20s for lows, especially Wednesday morning, and then going to Thursday morning as well over there toward the Great Lakes, and then the Northeast once we get to Friday morning, frost freeze risk, keeping an eye on that. Rainfall and at least precipitation in general through the week from Monday, October 20th through Friday, October 24th. Looks like some wet weather across the west, some wet weather across the southern plains or mid-south, and then up here into the northeast Great Lakes region as a meandering low pressure starts to slowly move across this region. A little bit drier for the southeast next week here. And you can see as we go through the week, we're going to have a low pressure system develop near Lake Superior, kind of stall out or slow down and kind of spin for a couple of days. Those could give us some gray, overcast skies, some drizzle, some showers at times, rumbles of thunder here as that just slowly meanders through the week. Another low pressure system off the front range in the Colorado Rockies will start to creep into the Oklahoma-Texas panhandle. Thursday evening on the 23rd, that could bring us some showers and storms. Watching out for severe weather risks down here. OKC, Tulsa, Dallas, we'll be keeping an eye on you as we go toward Friday night. We could be seeing an isolated severe weather threat there, and then more of a system coming into the Pacific Northwest towards next weekend. So it's pretty active out there. The European model is showing some pretty decent rains for the Pacific Northwest, the Southern Plains, Mid-South, and the Northeast, also Ontario and Quebec, Canada. And the GFS model is pretty much in a good agreement with that now. So that is some good news. We got more clarity on next week's forecast. Now let's try to get clarity on the long range. As we go towards Halloween, we're going to have a lot of ups and downs, a lot of a volatile kind of weather pattern as we go towards Halloween, where we could have a couple days of warmer weather and a couple days of pretty chilly weather that you may need to bundle up with jackets with, and that actually could take us into early November, perhaps into the Veterans Day timeframe, or my birthday there on November 12th. And this one we're going to be pinpointing here. Once we get closer to Veterans Day, there has been a signal in the ensemble guidance for a more potent, more widespread cold front to come down, and this could be our coldest air of the season. So we're keeping an eye on that as we get closer there towards that second week of November. Precipitation going through Halloween looks pretty active, so any trick-or-treaters out there may want to pay attention closely to the forecast as we get closer to Halloween, and then as we go into early November. If that strong cold front comes to fruition, it'll bring cooler Canadian high pressure into the United States, which actually brings more sunshine and drier weather. So we'll be seeing the wet weather go away and the drier, cool, crisp weather come back as we get there towards Veterans Day time frame. Now let's look here at the tropics before we go. 30% chance of development there in the Caribbean, keeping a close eye on that. A low chance for now, but something we're keeping an eye on. And we are seeing another wave crossing through Central America into the East Pacific side, has a 20% chance of development. That is also a pretty low chance over the next couple of days. Here's the ensemble guidance for the Caribbean. Again, very weak system, almost too far south to really even be any consequence to anybody. It's going to be kind of crossing over Central America and actually may affect more of the East Pacific than it does the Caribbean. So the forecast has changed a little bit there for the Caribbean. Right now, we're not looking at anything too intense, pretty low chance of anything developing, so be keeping an eye on that. Thank you all for watching. Hope you did enjoy the forecast. If you found it informative, helpful for you anyway, life-saving, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn on the post notification bell to all so you get all my videos, live streams. We cover Canada, we cover the United States and the tropics on all of my videos, so thank you all for watching. Like the video as well. Let's get to 1,000 likes today. That would be awesome. Also, share it with a friend, family member, and on social media. Thanks for the support, everybody, and I hope everyone has a wonderful and safe rest of their Saturday out there.